preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network, as today the Padres take on the Seattle Mariners in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Mariners, right-hander Logan Gilbert, and for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:15 p.m. at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We hear from former Mariner and current Padre Ty France. We check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. in just a little bit. Our keys to today's game and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 26-18. They lost 2 of 3 in Milwaukee to begin this 6-game road trip. Still very much an opportunity to make this a winning trip. Mariners, meanwhile, 22-24. Mariners won 3 of 4 against the Astros in Houston to begin the week. Seattle is 14-11 in their last 25 games after beginning the year just 8-13. These two teams met in San Diego in April. Padres swept that series. That was during that 8-game win streak for the Padres in April. So Padres now 4-0 against Seattle this year. It's the first time the Padres have won the season series against the Mariners since 2021. We had the series opener in Seattle last night. Let's rewind.
You miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Couple of good right-handers going at it yesterday. Randy Vasquez for the Padres against Emerson Hancock for Seattle. Both righties really good early on. They got us to the 4th inning. Still a scoreless game. Gavin Sheets was on second base for Miguel Andujar.
Reach for, lined over the head of Crawford into left and a base hit. Sheets going around third, coming to score. It finds the alley, gets to the base of the wall, and Duhar standing at second. It's an RBI double, and the Padres have the first run of the night, 1-0 here in the 4th.
It stayed 1-0 for a while. That was because Randy Vasquez continued to put up zeros. He got some help in the 5th inning from his defense.
Vasquez will turn and deliver, and a ground ball up the middle, way to his right. Bogarts backhands it, jump throw to first base, and he got him! What a play by Xander Bogaerts. Best defensive play he has made this season. 1 down in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Randy was terrific. 6 shutout innings, 4 hits given up, 79 pitches. Hancock gave up just 1 run through his 6 innings. Padres took a 2-0 lead on a fielder's choice from Sungmoon Song in the 7th inning. They still led 2-0. Going to the bottom of the 8th inning, Jason Adam came on with 2 outs and the tying runs aboard. Craig Stammen not messing around. He went to Padres closer Mason Miller with the red-hot Randy Arozarena coming up. Arozarena reached on an infield single. That loaded the bases. Connor Joe, who had pinch hit earlier, stepped in. The count went to 3-2.
Bases loaded, 2 down. 2-0 Padres in the 8th. 3-2 again. The pitch to Joe taken for strike 3. Perfect slider, and we'll go to the 9th inning.
Padres still led 2-0 going to the bottom half of the 9th. Miller back on the mound trying to complete a 4-out save. Mariners again put the tying runs on base. The game was left up to Brendan Donovan.
2-2 to Donovan. Miller will deliver. And a swing and a miss. Got him with a slider to end the game. And Mason Miller gets 4 outs to give the Padres a 2-0 win here in Seattle, as the Padres have clinched the season series over the Mariners and picked up their 2nd win of this road trip.
A big win for the Padres, 2-0 in Seattle as they take the series opener, and now the Padres trying to win the middle game of this 3-game set with first pitch coming up at 4:15. As we get ready for today's game, let's go up to Seattle.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Tony, before we focus on today's game, I do want to revisit an aspect of last night's win, and that was Mason Miller once again putting in quite the effort. His second 4-out save in a week, 34 pitches yesterday. He was getting out of jams. Just a marvelous job once again by Mason Miller. What can you say about not just Mason's effectiveness this season, but the willingness this early in the year to go get 4 outs?
It sounds like a dude who is interested in winning and understanding his role in that. And, I think it's important to kind of put that in perspective in terms of the four-out saves he's had to get. He's had quite a few. But that's kind of where the Padres are in terms of their offense and what the type of games that they're playing. And I don't think it would be Craig Stammen's choice to use Mason as much as he has, but at the end of the day, you got to win games, and when you have an opportunity to win them, you try to take those opportunities. And he's had more than just the opportunity he's had to bring him in for more than 3 outs, but he's done it when he has, and I think that's really because of what the type of games the Padres have. But Mason has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, I think he honestly has a case right now to be in a Cy Young conversation based on how dominant he's been.
Totally agree, and there are some really stunning numbers when you talk about how good the Padres have been in the late innings with the lead since the trade for Mason Miller last year. I'll get to those a little bit later. Focusing on today's game, Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres put together maybe his best start of the season on Sunday against St. Louis. 2 runs given up in 6 innings. Certainly felt, Tony, like maybe the most complete start that Walker's put together all year. What did you see from Walker Buehler?
I think we really seen that his last couple of starts, I thought, have looked, pretty good. And the line hasn't necessarily, I think, been an indicator of how good he's been in those last couple of starts. But it does feel like, as he's tried to reinvent himself, that he's starting to kind of turn the corner right now. And I think another start today in the same realm that we've seen the last couple would, I think, only solidify that he's starting to be more comfortable with this new version of himself that, I don't think he actually knew what it was going to look like when he came into spring training. I think him and Ruben have seems like they've had a game plan this whole time, and they've just kind of followed that plan, and it seems like it's starting to come to fruition right now.
On the other side of the pitching matchup, really good right-hander on the mound for the Mariners, Logan Gilbert. He has been very, very good against the Padres in his career. What kind of challenges does Gilbert typically present?
He comes with a lot of challenges. He's got a good fastball. He's got that good split and slider that he uses as well. He's a guy who throws a lot of strikes. And as you said, the Padres have had some issues dealing with him in his last few starts against them. They missed him there at home earlier this season.
Yeah.
But I think he's coming off one of his best starts of the year against the White Sox. 6 innings, only gave up 1 hit, no runs. And that's the kind of starter he is. If he's on, and Padres have really only seen him when he was on. He's going to be very difficult to deal with.
Tony, talking about the Padres offense, on one hand, yesterday they scored 2 runs. They found a way to win the game, but from a run total standpoint, sort of more of the same with a low output. But on the other hand, if you sort of dug into it a little bit deeper, they hit a lot of balls hard. They hit line drives all over the place. Craig Stammen commented on that after the game last night. What did you see from the Padres offense? Was there a step forward last night, even if it wasn't necessarily reflected in the run total?
I mean, you'd like to say it was a step forward, but, can they do it again here tonight against a much, I shouldn't say much better pitcher. I thought Emerson Hancock wasn't as good as he was the first time, and I thought the at-bats reflected that. You saw a lot deeper at-bats. You saw a lot more balls hit off the screws, but whether that's a step forward or not, I think remains to be seen, right? Because you got a guy like Logan Gilbert on the mound today who is one of the as good, if not better, than Emerson Hancock. And so can they put that type of performance again today? That would only kind of, I think, give credence to this being a step forward. But until we start seeing it on a consistent basis, I don't know that we can start having the step forward conversation. We'd like to think that that's the case, but the proof is in the pudding.
Tony, appreciate the insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 4:05. Thanks so much. Enjoy the ball game here today.
All right, Sam, take care.
All right, Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for the middle game of this 3-game set between the Padres and the Seattle Mariners. Padres, as we've said, 4-0 against the Mariners this year. Padres, I thought yesterday, got a really, really good win. I know the offense still from a run production standpoint didn't do a whole lot, but that felt like a playoff type a game and atmosphere in Seattle yesterday, and the Padres hung on for a 2-0 win. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, we hear from former Mariner and current Padre Ty France. Our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. First pitch coming up at 4:15 at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Our pregame coverage continues after this. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:15 in Seattle, Game 2 of this 3-game series. Our pregame coverage is always brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. Let's take a look at the Padres lineup today for the first time. Looks like this: Jackson Merrill in center leading off. Fernando Tatis Jr. at second base today batting second. Manny Machado, the DH, batting third. Gavin Sheets at first base batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Miguel Andujar at third base today batting sixth. Nick Castellanos in right field batting seventh. Ramon Laureano in left batting eighth. And Rodolfo Duran doing the catching and batting ninth, with again right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound. Let's hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Well, before we hear from Craig today, a note for you. Lucas Giolito will make his Padres debut tomorrow in the series finale in Seattle. Giolito was in the Padres clubhouse today. We'll hear some of what he had to say before tomorrow's game, before he makes that first start in a Padres uniform. But here was Craig Stammen earlier today inside the dugout at T-Mobile Park on what Giolito will bring to this Padre rotation.
Experience. Been there, done that, knows what it's like to go through a full season, pitching well in the big leagues. I think that's, his biggest attribute that he brings. He knows how to get outs, get them out in the big leagues. So that's good.
Knowing how to get out to the big leagues, Fielder seems to be progressing a whole lot better. Followed start last time out. What have you seen from him that's allowed him to get much better and more effective now?
Yeah, he's just perfecting his craft. He's working a little bit different than what he has probably his entire life. But we've seen some good velo from him here lately too, and I think that's, definitely helped. But he's adding in all those new pitches and seeing where to use them and how to use them and who to use them to. But the more he gets comfortable with that, the better he's going to be.
Lucas was saying that it's been such an abnormal offseason. He was looking forward to the normal of being a big league pitcher again. What are you kind of looking for those first couple innings, those first couple batters to be like those check boxes of he's back and he's got it?
Honestly, I'm not that worried about it. He's an experienced player. He's been around a long time. So, there's always first game jitters, especially when you don't have a spring training and, you don't have a normal offseason like he said. So there'll be some, getting used to it kind of things, but he'll settle in.
What are some of the challenges that Logan Gilbert brings, different looks?
Yeah, very good pitcher. Comes at you, throws a lot of strikes. Good fastball, good velocity with it, and then he's got a really good split and slider that we got to worry about. So, we got to be very disciplined what we're swinging at, and then not try to do too much. And similar approach to what we took last night in a bunch of line drives.
Tatis, you've talked a lot, like maybe not the performance offensively, but defensively having an impact. Can you sort of speak to that from Jackson Merrill, like yesterday, great catch, center field, 8th inning, just like the fact that maybe they're not where they would like to be offensively, but they're still able to make an impact?
Yeah, they're doing a great job of not taking their at-bats out to the field, which is a hard thing to do. You can be out there. We've seen a lot of guys working on their swing while they're out there in the outfield, and these guys have, have understood what their job is and that they can impact the game in many different ways outside of just in the batter's box, and they keep showing that every single night.
What do you think that comes from? It does seem like that's kind of a vibe of this team. That they know their job, they know what. That's cool. It'll come.
Yeah, I think they're mentally tough. I think that's just what it is. They're just very tough individuals, and they take pride in what they do, no matter what they're doing. The one thing they can't control is what the pitcher's going to throw them in the box, and sometimes that's very difficult to live with. But the one thing they can control is their attitude, their effort, their discipline on defense, and they've done that so far.
Jackson has always been a guy who likes to swing a lot. What came into the season, I think talking about just wanted to cut down on the chase rate a little bit. I mean, obviously, so far that hasn't happened yet. What are you seeing just like process-wise?
Yeah, I think he's doing fine. Like, he's just not hitting right now. But we got a long season ahead, and I'm looking forward to when he does get hot. I think he's going to be just fine.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:15 p.m. in Seattle for Game 2 of this 3-game set. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Gavin Sheets in the midst of a 4-game hitting streak. He's 6 for 11 with a home run in that span. If you zoom out a little bit farther, Sheets is actually hitting .321 and has a .424 on-base percentage in his past 9 games. Miguel Andujar in the midst of a 4-game hit streak as well. 6 for 16 with 3 doubles, a home run, and 3 RBIs in that span. Both those guys, Sheets and Andujar, in today's lineup. The not category, well, we take a look at the very top of the Padre order, the 1, 2, 3 spots. We begin with the leadoff man, Jackson Merrill. He's just 3 for 30 in his last 8 games. The number 2 hitter, Fernando Tatis Jr., 0 for 9 in his last 2 games, now 7 for his last 45 in his last 12 games. And finally, the number 3 hitter, Manny Machado, his last 11 games, he is only 3 for 42. So those 3 guys, 1, 2, 3 in the Padres lineup here tonight, they could certainly use to get going. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for today's game. Now let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Some bad news for the New York Mets. Mets pitcher Clay Holmes broke his leg in his start yesterday, a fractured right fibula when he was hit by a 111-mile-per-hour comebacker off the bat of the Yankees' Spencer Jones. It'll take 6 to 8 weeks for the injury to heal. Holmes would have to ramp up after that. Mets still hoping he maybe can pitch again this year. Holmes had a 2.39 ERA for the Mets this season. Blue Jays righty Jose Barrios will miss the remainder of the season. He will undergo elbow surgery this coming week. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard a little bit later, but a couple of headlines for you from today's games. Phillies slugger Kyle Schwarber hit a pair of home runs last night in a win against the Pirates. His season total now up to 20. Phillies playing the Pirates right now. The Rays looking to extend their home winning streak to 12 games today and become the first American League team to reach 30 wins in the process. They were facing Sandy Alcantara and Miami. Marlins right now leading 2-1 in the 9th inning in Tampa Bay. And that is a quick look at some headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, we'll tell you about some guys that are out of the Seattle lineup today, our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and we go inside the Padres clubhouse to check in with former Mariner Ty France. Much, much more to do on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. This is the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 4:15 in Seattle. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in 25 minutes. We'll hear from Ty France in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's tell you about a few Mariners who are out of today's lineup.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, the Mariners, a little over an hour ago, they announced a new lineup from the original lineup they put out, and they had scratched two guys from that original lineup, one being their leadoff hitter, Brendan Donovan, the other being Mitch Garver. No reason given as to why those two guys were scratched, but they were scratched from the original lineup put out by Seattle today. So no Brendan Donovan, no Mitch Garver. As we told you yesterday, Cal Raleigh, their star catcher, was put on the IL this week because of a right oblique strain. So as far as a starting capacity, no Raleigh, no Donovan, no Garver today. A little bit of a different lineup than what we were anticipating today for Seattle. And that's a look at who's out of today's lineup for the Mariners. Again, no reason given yet by the Mariners as to why Donovan and Garver are out of the lineup. And obviously, no information right now on if one or both of those guys will be or will not be available off the bench today for the M's. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We have a few games that have gone final today. Rockies beat the Diamondbacks 4-2 in Colorado. The Blue Jays beat the Tigers in 10, 2-1 in Detroit. Cardinals won again against the Royals 4-2 in St. Louis in front of those fans that are waving their shirts over their head. Those guys that have their shirts off, waving their shirts around. You see that? You see that, Hamby? Anybody out there know what I'm talking about? That's a big thing right now in St. Louis. Sections of young men taking their shirts and waving them above their heads, going wild at Busch Stadium last couple of days. Big thing right now in St. Louis. Look it up on social media. You'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, games going on right now. Nationals leading the Orioles 11-3 in D.C. in the 8th inning. Phillies blanking the Pirates 6-0 in the 9th inning in Pittsburgh. Marlins and the Rays now tied at 2 in the 9th inning in Tampa Bay. Guardians beating the Reds 2-0 in Cleveland in the 2nd. Games coming up a little bit later. Cubs and the White Sox in Chicago at 4:10. Brewers and the Twins in Minnesota at 4:10. Rangers and the Astros at 4:10 in Houston. Red Sox and the Braves at 4:15 in Atlanta. Subway Series, Mets and Yankees in Queens at 4:15. Dodgers and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38. And later on this evening, Giants and the A's at 6:40. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Saturday. We'll have much more on all those games coming up a little bit later on during our post-game coverage. Well, Ty France not in the lineup today for the Padres, available off the bench certainly, but Ty France did speak with reporters inside the clubhouse during this series. And, well, Ty France, obviously an interesting return to Seattle for him. Remember, Ty came up with the Padres, drafted by the Padres out of San Diego State, got traded to Seattle in 2020, the deal that brought Austin Nola back to San Diego. Andres Munoz, who would go on to become one of the better closers in the game. He was traded with Ty from the Padres to the Mariners. And then France would spend what's been the majority of his career in Seattle, the rest of 2020, all of 21, all of 22, all of 23 with the Mariners. He was an all-star in 2022. So certainly Ty France with, you would imagine, some very good memories of being a Seattle Mariner. And obviously it's been great for the Padres to have him back in the brown and gold. He's been a big contributor to this team, and also a full circle kind of thing for Ty France, who showed up to spring training this year on a minor league deal earned his way onto the opening day roster and now is back in the brown and gold. Ty France again spoke with reporters inside the Padres clubhouse. Here was Ty reflecting on his time as a Mariner and also talking about some of the unique elements of playing at T-Mobile Park.
Obviously, you have a lot of time here. What's your assessment of the park as far as how it plays for a hitter?
Yeah, I think it's different based on the time of year. I felt like summertime ball carried a little bit better, whereas when it's cold, the marine layer not the best place. But and it also depends on the kind of hitter you are. For me personally, when I was here, I was more of like a gap to gap, run into homers occasionally, but it didn't really affect me too much as far as like getting hits. It was more so the power numbers I felt like, and I think that's what most guys run into.
I read there's a tailwind, so it helps guys who throw fastballs, so you see more fastballs. Obviously, Seattle always has a good pitching staff kind of built around that. The batter's eye, people will say, is wonky. Any of those contributing factors to why, generally speaking, it's considered so tough?
Yeah, I think talking about the hitters, I know they ran into like where they found out it was at an angle. When I was here, I had no idea that was a thing. But I think it's more so like the time of day, the sun hitting off the hitter's eye, the reflection and the shadow makes it very difficult to see the ball.
Specific to the size of the field, they brought in the fences, I read, in 2013. Does the outfield still play larger than the visual might indicate it would?
I think certain parts of the field, yeah. If you go like towards the bullpen, forget the first bullpen closest to center field. If you go that direction, yeah, the ball doesn't carry very well. I feel like the gaps, it's not doesn't carry the greatest. If you go down the line, you can run into your homers there, but personally, I think it just depends on the day.
How about just the thought on, I know you've been back as a Twin, it's not your first time back as a visitor, but you're back again. Does it ever not feel strange, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely strange. Like, I was here for 4 full years, so spent bulk of my career here, and built a pretty good resume while I was here, and really enjoyed this fan base. So it's always weird coming back. I enjoy it. I love playing here. It's a lot of fun, and I was here during the ALCS last year, and got to be in that environment. And it's a fun place to play.
It had to be weird too. Then you go to the World Series and you leave your buddies to watch.
Yeah, it was weird. But that's the business.
Are you still in contact with many of the guys and getting any fun texts when you come back as a visitor? Yeah, I'm still close with a good handful of the guys over there. It's not the entirely same group, but there's still a lot of names over there, and a lot of guys I'm close with.
I feel a little bit like full circle, because you started with the Padres, you became an all-star here. Coming back and just like taking stock of what your career has been so far.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. Having the Padres uniform back on and coming here is definitely a full circle moment, and very grateful for my time here and everything I got to experience. But excited to be here now.
You got traded for Andres Munoz, who's developed a pretty good closer. You got a good closer in the middle. But what can you tell us about Munoz, just like playing with him and seeing him develop into the pitcher he is? Yeah, just his growth. When we were traded over here, he was so young and recovering from Tommy John, and trying to figure out who he was as a pitcher. And they invested in him, showed him that, hey, you're going to be here for a long time, and I think that helped him settle in and become himself. And I mean, you see the closer he is today. So I'm not surprised by any means. He's always had the stuff and the ability to pitch. So to see what he is now, not surprised. What's it like to come back to the Padres as a Gold Glover and with World Series experience?
Yeah, it's awesome. I big picture, I never really wanted to leave San Diego. I thought I'd spend my whole career here, going to San Diego State, and being drafted by the Padres. So having this uniform back on, it means a lot. This is something that an organization that's really special to me, and excited to be back.
I know previously you joked about being Julio's babysitter. What has it been like to kind of watch his career from afar the last few years?
Yeah, again, it's, he's got all the talent in the world, and it's always been there. And just more so watching his maturity and how he's grown. I'm not surprised by any means. And, he's a special player, but a special human being, and extremely happy for how his career's gone. And again, not surprised.
That was former Mariner Ty France, and now once again Padre Ty France, talking inside the Padres clubhouse. Some really good thoughts there from Ty about his time as a Mariner, getting traded to Seattle in 2020 alongside their now closer Andres Munoz, and certainly Ty France has been a major contributor to this Padres club, not in the starting lineup tonight, but certainly available off the bench. We'll see if Ty France appears in today's game. In the middle game of this 3-game series, Padres and the Mariners, first pitch coming up at 4:15. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in under 15 minutes. Let's give you our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number 1, hey offense, do it again. Now you're sitting there saying, wait, Sam, do what again? They scored 2 runs last night. Well, Kevin Acee had a really good breakdown this morning in the San Diego Union Tribune. Yes, the Padres scored 2 runs last night, but the Padres' 9 hits last night were more than in any of their other previous 8 games. Their 10 balls put in play at 100 miles per hour or harder were their most since April 12th. Let me say that again. Their 10 balls put in play at 100 miles per hour or harder were their most since April 12th. So more than a month. So I bring these things up to say last night the Padres did things that ultimately should result in scoring more runs. It was a step. Keep collecting hits. Keep hitting hard line drives. They had a lot of hard liners yesterday. Offense, do it again. I'd be willing to bet that the results would be even better today. That's key number 1. Key number 2, how about more Ramon? Ramon Laureano is quietly starting to look better after an 0-for-14 stretch and hitting just 111 since April 25th. He had a hit on Thursday in Milwaukee. He had 2 hits last night in Seattle. Hopefully a sign of things to come for Ramon. Hey, Ramon, there was a stretch last year after the trade where you could certainly argue Ramon Laureano was this team's best hitter. They need him to produce, and hopefully a sign of things to come the last couple of days for Ramon Laureano. Key number 3, a repeat from Walker. I mean that in 2 ways when talking about today's starting pitcher, Walker Buehler. Number 1, Buehler had one of his best starts of the season on Sunday against St. Louis. 2 runs allowed in 6 innings. Number 2, Buehler beat the Mariners exactly a month ago on April 16th, giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. So Walker had a really good start against the Mariners earlier this season. And Buehler also is coming off maybe his best start of the year Sunday in St. Louis. A repeat performance from Walker Buehler. That's key number 3. Key number 4, figure out Gilbert. In 5 career starts against the Padres, Mariners right-hander Logan Gilbert owns a 1.69 ERA. This guy has been really, really good against the Padres in his career. Can the Padres figure out a way to get to Logan Gilbert here today? That's key number 4, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we'll dive into the Padres bullpen, tell you what the Padres need to do out of their pen today as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 4:15 in Seattle. This is the Padres Radio Network. Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. First pitch at 4:15 in Seattle for Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Mariners. We sent things up to Jesse and Tony in under 7 minutes. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. Padres playing a very close game last night. I said a little bit earlier, felt like a playoff type of game last night. That kind of atmosphere in Seattle. Padres winning it 2-0. Another close game. 14 of the Padres' last 23 games have been decided by 2 runs or less. They're 10-4 in those games. And on the year, the Padres are 13-5 in games decided within 2 runs. So if it seems like the Padres are playing a lot of close games, also winning a lot of close games, well, that's because they continue to do that. And to their credit, they continue to find ways to win. Padres come into today's game with a record of 26-18. Mariners coming in at 22-24. Padres trying to secure a series win in the middle game of this 3-game set. Let's tell you what to watch for here tonight.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in today's game? How do the Padres navigate their bullpen today? Mason Miller is likely unavailable after throwing 34 pitches yesterday in his 14th save of the season. Those 14 lead the major leagues. It was his most pitches in an outing since September of 2024 when he was a member of the A's. It was also his second save of 4 outs in the last week. And look, when Mason pitches, the Padres have just been outstanding. The Padres are 45-0 when leading entering the 9th inning since Miller made his Padres debut last August. They're 19-0 this season when leading after 8 innings. But again, what to watch for today? Well, you likely can't use Miller, so how do you piece things together with the bullpen without Mason Miller? Certainly the Padres are in a very, very good position to do that with guys like Jason Adam and Adrian Morejon and Jeremiah Estrada and Bradley Rodriguez. Padres probably are set up as well as any bullpen in baseball to not have their closer available. But still, we've seen this week with a couple of 4-out saves, the value in Mason Miller, not just the effectiveness, but his willingness to go and get more than 3 outs. And you would assume the Padres would really like to avoid having to use him here today after he threw 34 pitches yesterday. So what to watch for in today's game? How do the Padres navigate the back end of their bullpen in what could be another very close game? That's what to watch for. And as we said, the Padres continue to play close games. They've made a living this season out of playing close games. So certainly a scenario that could pop up at some point in this series again, and maybe even here today. Another thing to keep an eye on today, we talked about it during Who's Hot, Who's Not. The Padres continue to win games. Miguel Andujar, a big reason why, riding a 4-game hitting streak. Gavin Sheets has been good as of late, riding a 4-game hitting streak. But no doubt, you've got to circle the top of the Padres order today. Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, 1, 2, 3 in the lineup. Those guys were a combined 0 for 12 in yesterday's series opener in Seattle. And the reality is, over the course of 162, and these guys know this, those guys are going to need to perform. And we said it during Who's Hot, Who's Not. I'll bring up the numbers again for you. Jackson just 3 for 30 in his last 8 games. Fernando Tatis Jr. now 7 for his last 45 in his last 12 games. Manny Machado just 3 for 42 in an 11-game span. Look, the Padres need those guys to get it going. They were fortunate once again yesterday to win that game, despite the very top of the order going a combined 0 for 12. You'd like to see those guys get going here today. But again, they're facing a very, very tough customer on the mound in Mariners right-hander Logan Gilbert, who's been a little bit more shaky this season, a 3.78 ERA coming in, but coming off a really good outing in Chicago against the White Sox. His last time out, he went 6 scoreless innings. And as we said, he has always been very, very good against San Diego. To set the table one more time for you, Padres come in at 26-18, Mariners at 22-24. Padres in the midst of this 6-game road trip. The Mariners, who won 3 of 4 against the Astros in Houston to begin the week, they are 14-11 in their last 25 games. When we come back, we send things up to the Pacific Northwest. We join Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.